Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to take a look at the final of the new Roarivores, and this one is one that I was kind of not too excited about. In fact, this was the one that I was the least excited about as far as all of these new Roarivore figures go, because I just really didn't like the paint scheme too much in the images that I had seen. I thought that it was very odd, very bright, and I wasn't really a big fan of it. But looking at it in the box, as always, I think Mattel has somehow managed to change my mind looking at it here in person. I don't know, something about it at this point looks pretty appealing to me, so let's go ahead. We'll break the guy out of the box and we'll take a look at him. So here is the card for the new Metriacanthosaurus, and it looks pretty nice. I actually really quite like the image. It's definitely a very cool looking Metriacanthosaurus that they do have on there. He's got some pretty decent stats, and then the usual Dino Rivals Jurassic World on the back. But here is the now put together new Metriacanthosaurus, and I am pretty impressed. I'm not quite sure how to take this one and really deal with it quite yet. It's kind of got me at a little bit of a loss. I don't know if I like it or not. Either way, I don't know. It's got some interesting looking paint. I guess we'll have to take a closer look here. We'll decide from there which one we like better, if I like this one better or the older one, or if I even like this one at all, because at this point I am still not sure. So, as I said, let's get a closer look and we'll figure it out. Straight away, before I even start looking at this guy, I do want to point something out. There are painted nails on this figure. Of course, the dew claw gets no love, but the painted nails really are confusing to me because both my Ceratosaurus and my Baryonyx and my Ankylosaurus, all from the new Roarivores, have no paint on the nails at all. But for some reason, our Metriacanthosaurus must be the golden boy of the bunch because he gets paint on his nails. No clue why, but that is just what's going on here. Okay, we have previously looked at this guy before. If you do want to see a more detailed review of the sculpt, I'll include a link in the description to another review that I did on the original. However, we're going to look at what's new on this guy, so let's go ahead. We'll take a look inside the mouth. I think the mouth has a pretty nice looking paint scheme, a slightly sloppy one, but it still looks pretty good. It's got like a pinkish type color for the tongue and the skin flaps. I'm pretty sure there's no paint on the upper part of the mouth. Nope, just like I expected. But the teeth themselves do appear to have a little bit of sloppiness. You can kind of see that the teeth have run the paint down onto the gums, and it looks kind of messy, but it's not that bad. It's actually a little better, I think, on this side than the other side. The upper teeth on the upper jaw look really good. All of them do, actually. So that is at least a little bit of good luck as far as the teeth go. And then if we look here at the eye, I'm intrigued to see how nicely painted it is. It's definitely placed really well, and it kind of appears to be a white color with a black pupil, which is interesting, as I don't really recall them doing that before. They normally just give it the same color as the rest of the body. That one's a little bit sloppy, but still looks pretty good. They are definitely placed in the fairly right spot, so that's a huge plus as far as that goes, but they're not perfect still. It's still a lot better, though, than what we used to get. As far as the paint on the head, you can see it's got an orange, kind of a splotchy look here up on the top, and the orange paint just kind of runs down a little bit onto the side of the head here and down onto the front of the snout. It looks pretty nice, and the overall coloration of the head is a reddish color, which gives it sort of an evilish paint scheme, but I think maybe the red is a little too bright to really make it pure evil. You can see here on the side there are a few little dark splotches of like black spots, kind of what we usually see on the Mattel figures, but it's on the face there, which helps to give it just a slight variation of paint on the head. Overall, it looks okay, not my favorite looking paint, but it's still not bad. And then as we get to the neck, and where the head actually connects to the neck, you can see it transition to a slightly different shade of red. And then as we run down onto the back here, you can see that it kind of gets this dark burnt umberish brown, or maybe like a dark pavement gray. It's kind of hard to tell exactly what it is, but it kind of splotches all over. All these new Roarivores, as far as the carnivores, all seem to have the same very similar style paint to it. As far as the alternate coloration up here on the top, it just kind of splotches everywhere. This one really nicely actually runs down into the leg though, which is cool, and it kind of connects to the rest of the paint, which I really quite like. if we put the leg in the spot that it's supposed to be in, right about there, you can see that it really beautifully connects to the paint on the body, so that is a very nice touch there on the part of Mattel. As always, the paint does end quite abruptly as far as the splotchy, darker coloration goes, before we ever get to the tail, and then the tail runs out here. Very nice reddish color, and it is again a slightly different shade than you see on the body, but it's such a slight different shade that you almost can't even take notice of it at all. Other than that, there's really nothing. The paint is all pretty much the same everywhere else, so I feel like maybe this one has the least amount of paint as far as the new Roarivores, but somehow managed to get its nails painted. I have no idea how that happens, not sure at all, but still, regardless, it's interesting looking. And there is the Jurassic Facts code if you do want to add this guy to your collection, right there. Again, interesting, however, I'm still not quite sure how I feel about this. So as far as articulation, we've got the jaw, we've got the arms that move forward and back, out away from the body, as all Roarivore figures do, and we've got the leg forward and back, away from the body, back in. The tail is not on a swivel, again because this is exactly the same sculpt from the original Wave 1 of the Jurassic World line, and they were not swiveling the tails at that point in time. That was something that came in later waves, so actually it's weird that his jaw's staying shut. I didn't even realize that that happened. Oh, it's back open. And then as far as the action feature and the noise goes, we push the button up here, he's going to snap his jaws. Definitely the same noises as before, so they haven't changed or altered the noises, it seems, in any of the new Roarivores, which is kind of a letdown. I was hoping for maybe some kind of difference in the roars that are included, but I guess it is just the way it is, and we're gonna have to live with it. As far as the size goes on the Metriacanthosaurus, from the head to the tail, you're looking at about 13¼ inches, or about 34 centimeters, so it's another one of the bigger ones. And then for a height, you're looking at about 4¼ I think inches, or about a little under 11 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is the Papo T-Rex, and he really wants to get uncomfortably close to our Metriacanthosaurus, kind of creeping up there on his hip. But you can see again that the Metriacanthosaurus is a fairly large figure, and definitely a very similar size to the rest of the Roarivores. They're all in a very similar size frame, which is not a bad thing, as the Roarivores are all generally fairly large figures. And for another comparison, here is the original Roarivore Metriacanthosaurus, which I just had to bring in because this new one has my head so confused. I don't know if I like it, I don't know if I hate it, I don't know which one I like better. My life is in shambles right now, so I needed to bring this guy in to try to figure it out. And even looking at him here in person, I'm still not entirely sure how to take this new Metriacanthosaurus. It is just so confusing to me. I think I like the original one better, which is pretty much the same thing for every single one of these new repaints. I like the original Ankylosaurus, the original Ceratosaurus, and original Baryonyx better than these newer ones. However, I think the new Baryonyx was definitely the best of all of the new Roarivores. And looking here at the old and new Metriacanthosaurus together, I'm going to go ahead and say that I still like the original one better, but I kind of like the new one. I think. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Maybe one of my biggest problems in life is that I'm easily satisfied. I don't know. I think I like this guy. I'm not really too sure. The paint scheme looks interesting, but I don't know how much of a fan I am of the reddish color that it is. And again, the orange, which I normally would really like on a dinosaur, I just don't know if it really meshes too well with this reddish color. It's just kind of a bright and very weird looking paint scheme to me. Maybe if it was applied in a more realistic fashion, I could probably get behind it. If it wasn't just one solid red and just kind of a glossy orange. There are a few things I just don't really like about it. I'm not so sure I like the tone of the red used, and the orange having that shiny glossy look is a little iffy for me. But overall, it's still not the worst thing in the world. It's definitely not as bad as anything Hasbro has ever released. I know the sculpt on this guy I love. I love the sculpt. I think the sculpt is beautiful. They've done a really good job on the Metriacanthosaurus. I think maybe the head looks a little bit big compared to the rest of his body, but even that's not that big of a deal. I think it still is a very highly detailed and very beautiful looking model. It's just that the new paint isn't really that appealing to me, and I think overall it's kind of a letdown as far as what it could have been. It looks okay, I'll give it that. I can't say that I hate it or anything, because that's not the case. I just feel like they could have done a much better job had they chosen an alternate paint scheme. However, if you do want to buy one for yourself, I will throw links in the description to Amazon and Entertainment Earth where you can pick one up if you would like. Otherwise, if you want to see it before you buy it, go ahead and head to your local Walmart, see if you can find one there. They should be there. If they are not, they will be soon. And please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.